right.
Are you good?
Yep. Okay, so this is the beginning of our podcast. Anyways, welcome to the Web of Tomorrow.
That's my line.
Oh, are you saying it?
You said I'm doing the welcome, and you're explaining what it's about. I'm just waiting for you to get quiet.
That's right. Okay.
Welcome to the Web of Tomorrow, a podcast where we're going to talk about all things web, and we'll just talk about things for... Actually, you're going to talk about what we're going to talk about.
Welcome to the Web of Tomorrow, as Adam said. My name is Riley Carrasquillo, and my buddy is Adam Harris. We are doing this podcast because we had two major goals that we wanted to pursue as we go through this podcast. Of course, we're going to try to keep it organic. We want it to develop into whatever it develops. But the two major goals that we had was, first, we want to talk about web tech. We love it. We love web apps. We love how programming is developing in the world today. And we want to talk about it. We want to discuss the new things that are coming, the new tools that are coming, and old tools and tools that we currently have. We're not going to really keep it to anything specific in that way.
Yep.
But we also wanted to do kind of like a guest lecture thing where we teach or do some educational, informational something or another, where we just take an idea and we break it down for noobs. Because, and this is going to be our title from here on out, I'm the noob, and...
What is my title?
Adam is the not noob.
Not noob. Yeah.
Not quite senior developer.
I don't know if there is a word for in between junior and senior developer, is there?
Yeah, you're medium developer.
Medium developer. Middle developer?
Almost expert developer.
Middle-aged.
Yeah.
Not middle-aged.
Middle of the road. We will figure that out, but I am definitely the noob. I'm the junior developer, and we're going to talk a little bit about that, but we will have an expert developer come in on some of these as a guest lecture, and we're going to try and get some really cool people. Anyways, so let me introduce Adam and let him talk a little bit about himself.
All right, so I'm Adam. I've been interested in programming since I was like 12 years old when I tried to write my first JavaScript program. And it was basically a button that did nothing, but I was pretty excited about it, that I could even get a button on the screen. And I've just been interested in web tech ever since. I went and got a computer science degree. My professor really wanted me to get into robotics. Like, he tried to convince me not to do web development. He was like, you can learn that in a book on the weekend. And I was like, no, it's cool. It's going to be good. And so I've had a few jobs doing web development, a little bit of back end, but I really fell in love with the front end.
Where did you go to school?
I went to school in Texas at Tarleton State University.
Tarleton?
Yeah.
I bet everyone has heard of that.
No. No one's heard of that.
Oh yeah, also mention where you grew up. What was the town you grew up in?
I grew up in Stephenville, Texas.
Stephenville, Texas. That's awesome. So how long have you been working in development?
I got my first web development job. It was more like a web design job in like 2007. So
2007.
8 years.
Nice. That's a healthy amount of time.
Yeah, actually. I was just like an intern, just doing really basic stuff on websites.
So 8 years of experience with you.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that we want to know about you, Adam?
I don't know.
Eventually we're going to learn a whole lot about you as this podcast develops, right?
Yeah, I mostly work with D3.js right now at my job.
Which is awesome. And we will have probably a whole podcast devoted to D3.
Yeah.
Because D3 is just awesome.
All right, so what about you, Riley? What's your background?
So that is a great question, actually, because I have a crazy varied background. But I'm from Texas as well. That's actually funny that we're both from Texas.
Yeah, because we met here in Utah.
Yeah, that's not necessarily the connection either that like strongly brought us together. But I am from Texas. I'm from Dallas, Texas, and I went to school here at BYU, and I studied psychology. I decided I didn't want to do that, so I was looking to get into HR, and that never happened. I never actually ended up in HR, but I did find myself working for a company called Domo, where you work
Yep.
currently, and that's our major connection.
Right.
And I found myself just being crazy inspired by all the cool developers there and just the things that they were working on, the things that you guys were working on. I just thought it was super awesome, and I was thinking about how I wanted to be able to creatively express myself. So I decided to join a boot camp called Dev Mountain. It's local to Utah. I did it in Salt Lake City, but they're based out of Provo. That was 3-4 months ago. So that is the extent of my web developing experience, but the passion has been running long and high for quite a while now, probably about a year now.
Yeah. Wait, so how long was the boot camp?
The boot camp was 3 months. It was an after-hours boot camp. It was Tuesday through Thursday and then on Saturday
So
as
you
well.
just finished.
I finished I finished end of June. Yeah.
Okay. Did you know I thought about going to Dev Mountain?
Really? Like, how long ago?
Like a year ago.
Why? You develop already.
I know. Yeah, I was a developer at this other company.
Yeah.
And just wasn't feeling very confident in myself. And I thought, man, if I could just go to this place, I could learn Angular.
Yeah.
Something I've still never learned. And
Oh, you don't use Angular that much?
No, I don't. I've never used Angular.
Huh. Interesting.
But I was like, if I can go there, I've got a computer science degree. I can really do an awesome job at this boot camp and find an awesome mentor and connect with people and then get an awesome job at one of the cool places like Domo around here. So instead, I just applied to a bunch of places like Domo and got a job.
Yeah, and that actually that's funny that you bring that up because that's something that's something that's really interesting to me to pursue. Like, at what point do you decide that boot camp is for me? So, for example, in my case, a boot camp was for me. I needed that because I had no education. I obviously didn't graduate in computer science. That I had nothing that just directly fed into it other than, I used Team Treehouse for fun for like 3 months. I was doing some classes for that. But then, I decided that, I obviously needed something that was a little bit more concentrated. And that's where I ended up going to Dev Mountain. They're not cheap by any means, but they can be incredibly useful.
Cheaper than a computer science degree, though.
That is so true.
And it's way more real world. I felt like I didn't learn anything getting my computer science degree that I actually used at my job.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot more focused. Computer science can be pretty good, I think, for people that are still trying to decide what kind of languages they want to go into, what kind of front end, back end. Maybe not so much for web design. I'm not really sure. I obviously didn't take it, but what did you think?
My college just treated web design like a hobby.
Oh.
Yeah. So, in order to learn web design when I was in college, I just went out and I learned PHP on my own, and made some sites. And then there was this one course I really didn't want to take. We had to take 2 electives, and they only offered 2 electives in computer science. And so I said, hey, I want to do just like an independent study on PHP and MySQL. And so that's what I got to do one semester.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I would love to use another language because my experience is pretty much within JavaScript. It's obviously I know HTML and CSS, but that's not technically programming. That's just coding.
Yeah.
And it's definitely meaningful and useful, but but yeah, like I think that's going to be really helpful for us because in this podcast we don't want to alienate anyone, but obviously eventually it's going to become pretty clear who our audience is. And right now we're starting off with the idea that our tech discussions will be a little bit more for, mid to expert level people, but our educational things will be more for junior to completely new.
Yeah,
And
or just considering doing web development.
Yeah, or if you're just that's probably the biggest questions that you should go to because I know that I struggled with that decision very strongly because I have ADHD and I was like, man, would ADHD be good for someone? I mean, like, would programming be good for someone with ADHD?
Your conclusion was?
Yes, it's very much so. I mean, if you're like this crazy, I got to be out in the mountains every day type ADHD person, maybe not. I don't know. But I remember I was talking to Aaron Frost, who is a great developer. He's incredibly smart. But I was talking to him about it, and he was one of my biggest inspirations for doing the whole Dead Mountain thing.
Yeah.
And he told me, of course you can do it if you have ADHD. I have ADHD, and I've made a very successful career out of it, and that blew me away. But
That's
if
awesome.
I hadn't had
how
those,
do you deal with it then?
other than medicine,
Yeah.
like just doing it on your own,
Yeah, I mean, how do you deal with programming
and
with
wanting
ADHD?
not wanting to.
Maybe that's something we can talk about sometime.
No, yeah, that's a good question. I mean, if we're gonna go into mental disabilities, I guess. I mean, can ADHD still be called that since so many people have ADHD? I don't know. For me, it's that's why we're having this discussion, right? This is why we're ultimately going to be talking about this. You need to decide and have an informed decision of, is this something I'd be passionate about, right? And I think that goes with anyone, really. Whether you have an issue sitting down for 30 minutes or not, if you're passionate about something, then even though programming is very difficult, it is not easy by any stretch at all. It is a difficult thing.
That idea of being passionate about it is kind of interesting to me because I think a lot of people get into programming and then they just realize it's hard.
Yeah.
And so then they're like, well, I must not be passionate about it because it's hard and I'm not good at it. But I think you can kind of push through that. Like if you push through that, you can maybe discover that you really are or really can get passionate about it.
Yeah, I totally agree. And that's kind of the development of programming and learning and education anyways. But it's good to know what you're getting into before you jump into it, I think. Especially knowing what tools you have available to you because as the world goes on, as we go on developing the programming languages that we use, they just become more...
We're getting more and more tools to make programming easier and more interesting. And
yeah, exactly.
But then also that makes it kind of intimidating for a beginner to get started.
But it's a beautiful world. Like, I just think programming is amazing. It's difficult, but it's something that is almost pure expression of your creativity.
Yeah, it's like I can type out these commands and then in seconds see the computer do that thing that I told it to do.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
And it's world changing, at least to you.
Yeah. Oh, I remember what I was going to say. Where can they find us online, and where can they find the podcast, and when's it going to come out?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Go ahead.
So I've actually got 2 Twitter accounts, but the Twitter account where I talk about code and stuff is @AdamCoder.
Which is great.
Yeah.
Yours actually makes sense.
I felt a little weird getting that Twitter account at first. It feels a little arrogant, like I am the Adam Coder.
I pretty sure anyone who meets you does not have the immediate like feeling. Oh, this guy's arrogant.
Okay, good.
No, Adam Coder. I think that's a good one. So mine is, and it's completely unrelated, but it's at Puerto Rican, and it's PORTOREEKAN. That's my Twitter. I talk about tech stuff, but I also just talk about nerdy, fun things because I'm really into comic books and movies
Soccer.
and soccer. Yeah, that's nerdy. Um,
You could
That's
get
funny.
really nerdy about soccer, I guess.
I do, yes. And then we're also going to have a website that will host this.
Yeah.
That might even be the way that you found this podcast. But
It's the web of tomorrow podcast.com.
That's it. That's the one. We'll be having episodes every Tuesday and Thursday, so look forward to those. And we always look forward to feedback, things you guys want to hear or want us to talk about.
Let us know what you think. Rate and review us on iTunes or subscribe. That'd be great.
Yep.
That'll help people find us.
And we're super stinking excited to do this. We hope you have a wonderful day.